I expected as much, Sun replied with his nose crinkled by his anger. With a flick of his wrist, he shrunk his cudgel down to the size of a needle and tucked it behind his ear, putting his hands on his hips and staring after them, a disapproving, angry expression on his face. Dad, we can't really just let them get away, can we? Bran asked, taking his attention. Young lady, I told you to stay out of this, Sun said, shouting at his daughter. She started to argue, but he cut her off. Ren, get back home this instant. It's too dangerous for you to be out here, he insisted. Ren tried to argue, but he pointed in the direction of their home and said, March! Reluctantly, she decided to heed her father's wishes. Just as she started off, a large group of monkeys came from elsewhere in the forest. Some monkeys were carrying dizzy, disoriented soldiers over their shoulders, and they were leading groups of people. The civilians were literally chained together. They had shackles on their wrists, necks, and ankles, with chains that tied around their waists and connected to the person behind them. And they were all wearing normal and largely undamaged attire. Some wore work clothes, some in more comfortable clothing, but a handful of them looked ill. They were holding their stomachs and had pained looks in their eyes. One vomited violently, causing the whole chain to stop and squirm in disgust and discomfort. Son, we found these townsfolk not far away. Some of them are sick. We think they've been poisoned, one monkey said, carrying a wicker basket. Just from looking inside, I could already tell, but I reached inside and pulled one out to examine it anyway. Monkshood, I said, gently turning the plant between my fingers. The monkey tried to snatch it from me, but I held it too high for him to reach. If you know what that is, then you know just how dangerous it is to hold it, the monkey protested. That's enough, Few. He can't be poisoned by it, Sun explained for me. After a moment, I returned the plant to its basket before wiping my hands through the dirt to make sure I didn't leave any traces of the monk's hood on them. After dusting off my hands, I said, They're gathering monk's hood, so that means two things. Number one is they have someone they intend to poison. That's right. But what's number two? Few asked with a curious curl of his tail. It means these people they're using. They intended to let them die to gather it for them, I explained. Few went wide-eyed with shock. I don't know if that makes them cunning or evil, Sun grimly remarked. Sounds like both to me, I replied.